Paying bills. In the checkbook screen, down at the bottom left, are a list of projected payments, bill payments, not the bills themselves, but the payment items set up for the bills. And as we looked earlier, this is normally set at 7 days out, but you can change it obviously. Click your refresh button. You might end up seeing 2 asterisks in front of a vendor on a particular bill. That means that that particular bill, you missed a discount. In the parentheses next to the vendor's name is the discount rate that you're getting if you were to pay it right now. So if you missed a discount, it'll show 2 asterisks, and the date will change to the next discount date, and the net automatically changes for you. If you refresh this list, then those asterisks go away until the next time if you were to miss the discounts. You can change that list to show only the bills for one particular vendor. Let's stretch this out so we can see some more things here. Here we have bill number 1, multiple payments, payment 1, 2, and 3. See your invoice numbers, discounts. Here's our discount. So to pay some of these, if we were to click the boxes, then it starts populating this middle window of the new checks, starting with this check number. Right here we see this is the check number, and if we check another item, we're adding to that particular check. You can check off 30 items for one check. If we had 100 Mohawk bill payments in here and we checked off 30 of them, we would have one check. If we checked off another one, the 31st, it would start another check, and it would be check number 1015. And if we select other vendors, then it starts other checks. And then click the Save button. If you're just going to print those checks, there's nothing else to do with those, and we'll look at changing check dates and things next. But if all you need to do is just print these checks, just check the boxes, make sure your check number is correct, make sure you press the Enter key if you need to change it. Maybe we spilled something on a couple of checks, we need to change this. Make sure you press Enter. This is still 10, 14, and 15 until I press the Enter key. Then it updates here. And then just click your Save button, and it will ask, do you want to print while saving these? It is going to save them in your register if you click yes. There are checks marked to be printed. We can click no if we hand wrote those checks. So I'm not connected to a printer here, so I'm going to click no. And it saved them. There's our check numbers, there's our amounts. Let's do some others. If we check off a few items, so we have a few checks to pay. Perhaps this one we want to have a different date. So we click that line and it fills in the details at the top, and here we can change the date. I want this dated for yesterday or tomorrow. Do we want to change the date on all pending checks on all 3 of these, yes or no? I'll say no, and that one has a different date, but the others don't. Let's suppose we went to this company's website and made the payment, or it's an automatic payment. Maybe our internet service is automatic. So there's no check number involved. So we click the box on this line and we make this a non-check item. And so it shows down in here zeros. Now up here it still shows that check number, but like in other places of the program, if you click the item again, it will refresh the details into zeros. But we could change it even farther from that. Maybe we were on their website and we got a reference number. It'll take characters, numbers, letters, press the Enter key, And that's the check number that you'll see in your register. So we'll click the Save button. Do you want to print checks? Normally you'd say yes for those checks that you are printing. Make sure the checks are in the printer. And then you would click yes, and they print out, except for the one. And that's how you pay bills. There's another function in the checkbook screen that we call a quick check. Someone's right here with us. We ordered some pizza or something. We have somebody right here with us. We need to create this check right away. We click the new button. Oh, it was already new. I'll say no, don't save that one. And then we just fill in the blanks. Today's date, press enter. Who are we paying? They don't have to be in the vendor accounts setup in order to do this. In fact, I should have pointed this out. When you're creating a bill, the vendor doesn't have to be in the vendor account setup to create the bill. Ideally, you would want them there if you're going to create multiple bills for them over time, but they don't have to be there. So we pressed enter, type in the vendor name, press enter, and some amount. Invoice number if we have one. This would be the comments, the memo line on your check. If you wanted to type in anything there. And then here you're selecting an account, just as if you were creating the bill. When we click Save, it's going to use this check number. You would say yes, let's print the check. In the background, it created the bill. So there really has to be a bill when you're doing a check. In this case, it creates it for you. When you do the quick check, you only have the ability to select one account. If you need multiple accounts, ideally you would come and click New in the Bills screen and create the bill and fill out the multiple accounts. You could come back to a bill that was created by Quick Check and modify that and change the amount here and add other accounts and add amounts on those lines to split up the Quick Check, the bill that got created from the Quick Check. Another way that you can use the quick check is for what we call a bank transfer. It's really just a quick check function again. We'll click the new button and we give it a date and press enter. And in here we can type in anything we need, transfer to some other account, or you can select a vendor if necessary, if that works. And then in the account field, you would select a different bank account or a credit card account. To transfer the money electronically. Non-check item would be an electronic transfer. Leaving this unchecked would print a check. Maybe we need to type in our company name here, or cash, whatever your bank would require if you were actually printing a check to transfer funds to another account. Leave this unchecked. If you need a check number, check it if it's a electronic transfer. And then click the Save button. And what it shows in this account, transfer, and the amount. If we switch to the other account, it automatically created a deposit. The green windows, it's this deposit section up here. Checks, deposits. So that's the various uses for Quick Check. We are not going to get into today how to manage credit card accounts in the software. There's a couple of different ways to do that. We'll probably have a training video and some other instructions on our website about that soon, but we're not going to cover that today. Bank deposits. Down at the bottom right, just like the checkbook, the checks section of the checkbook, we have payment items coming from customers, or in the case of these that say other, they came from bills. We'll look at that in just a moment. I would sort this by type, and then your checks are all grouped together, and I'm going to the bank today. Oh, I forgot to click the new button. We're not modifying a previous deposit. Click new, and we'll select the items that we're taking to the bank today. We're taking some cash with us. And it totals those items here, and I would do this before I went to the bank. If you do this after the fact and there was a mistake somewhere, it's often hard to figure it out. Difficulties arise. You can change your date if necessary. This is, maybe we did go to the bank already, or I'm going tomorrow. I'm going to leave it at today. But you can change your date and then click the Save button. Do you want to print a deposit ticket? Yes or no? And there's our deposit. Right there. With all the details. You can double click one of these items to go to the invoice, and here we're seeing the deposit numbers. You can double click this and it will take you over to that deposit. Okay, these other items that are labeled with the other type, these came from bills. If we double click here, it'll take us, and there's a bill. So how do we do that? If we have a credit in our hands it's actually a check. We have a check maybe from our insurance company again. So we'll say so we create our credit. A negative amount will make this a credit. And then save this. And in our payment window, we switch this to add to deposits. This is a credit in the form of a check that needs deposited. Save and close. And then in our checkbook screen, click the refresh button, and there's our $500 check. And we can go to the bank with those, along with customer payments. Okay, what if it's a credit memo? So we have from Mohawk, and we don't have terms for these. This is important. The account that you select when you have a credit memo from one of your suppliers, whether that's flooring or window treatments, whatever you've purchased for resale, when you have a credit for that, is not the inventory account. It's the materials account. The way the software manages those two accounts, inventory and materials, and the process when you're doing a credit situation, the materials account is the account left with the balance. That cost, if this was a warranty type situation, that the cost of having to repurchase some materials, if it's the vendor's fault, we're crediting back to that cost account. You can do any units, and then quantity, and then your price. One of them needs to be negative to make this a credit, either the quantity or the cost, either way. So now we have a credit. For getting credit for labor. and then click your Save button. But we'll leave this at Add to Checks. And then in our checkbook screen, in the Checks section, we refresh. Let's look at just Mohawk. There's our credit. So if we were to check off some bills that need paid, and the amount here will decrease when we select this credit to give us a net check. And there's a credit memo. Checkbook reconciliation. If you're new to QFloors, doing your first time reconciliation will be not precise because you'll have transactions that are in QFloors and you'll have transactions that are in your previous software, your previous checkbook system. We have a question coming in. Okay. The question is coming back to checkbook deposits. Let's look at one of these deposits we created. So the question is, where are these payment items coming from? Where are these payment items coming from? These are coming from the invoices. So here's invoice 4, payment number 2, invoice 14, payment number 3. So if we double click this line, it'll take us back to invoice 14, and we see we had 3 payments. There's no deposit number on this particular one because it's in that lower green window over in the checkbook screen. It has not been deposited yet. So when you create a payment in this window, it shows up in the checkbook screen to be deposited. That's where they come from. Okay, back to reconciliations. So your first time reconciliation won't come out to the penny. What we want you to do for now is give us a call. We'll give you some direction to do your first checkbook reconciliation in QFloors if you're new to QFloors. Very simple, beginning statement balance, ending statement balance. Check off the items that cleared. This isn't going to work out for me precisely. I didn't figure out any exact numbers to make this come out precisely. And you're checking off the items that cleared and leaving unchecked the items that have not cleared yet. I'm going to fudge this a little bit, and so when we're finished, based on our starting and ending statement balances and everything that got checked off, the difference here should be 0. There's no difference between what the statement started at plus deposits that cleared minus checks that cleared to equal the ending balance. Difference in all of that is 0. When you save, I would say yes, print a reconcile report. Make sure your printer is working and there's paper there, and then click the yes to print this. When this report prints, the last page of the reconciliation report, I'm going to print this to screen here. Right there. The last page of the report comes up with a different difference. The difference on screen during the reconciliation process is just a difference between, as I pointed out, the beginning statement balance, everything that cleared, to get to the ending balance. If there's a difference when you're doing that, then there's something missing, or there's something you should have checked that didn't, or vice versa. The difference at the bottom of the report here is looking at your statement ending balance plus everything that did not clear yet, deposits and checks. That is your reconciled balance. That's what the balance in your register in QFloors should be. But if the register balance is not the same, you have a difference, and there's probably, you just have to do a journal entry in most cases to adjust your QFloors register to match the reconciled balance. This should be 0. Okay, so that's bills and checkbook. Really the easiest parts of the program. Invoices and products, there's a lot of detail involved with writing up a sale, with what products are needed in quantities, and which materials, and what if we don't have enough materials, and a lot of different things going on. When you get to payables, and it's pretty straightforward, pretty cut and dry there.